Your calf muscles aren't just for looks. They play a crucial role in every step we take. They absorb shock, provide propulsion, and help maintain balance, making them essential for healthy running. This ability helps protect joints and other tissues from excessive impact and contributes significantly to overall biomechanical efficiency and injury prevention. Today's video is all about the calves and why, if you're a runner or a triathlete, it is by far the most important muscle that you need to work on. So in this video, we're going to go through why calves are so important. We're going to go through how to do a calf raise and the common mistakes I always see. We're going to go through a couple of benchmarks that I like to see in my athletes. And we're also going to go through how to make your calves stronger at home and how to progress through the exercises. So why are calves so important in running? We know that when we do a hard session or we haven't run in a while, our calves start to hurt, more so than anything else in our body. Well, the calf complex, which consists of multiple muscles, they're the first point of contact and has a huge role in dissipating the force and helping us move over our foot. And when these muscles aren't strong enough, the load has to go somewhere. And usually it goes what we call up the chain. So whether it's the knee, hip, lower back, something else has to take the load. And you might have seen this around, but the science shows that our calves take 6 to 8 times our body weight or absorb that much when we run. That's way more than any other muscle group in our body. And to give you a percentage of how much work they're doing when we're running, it's about 40%. And I'll put all the other muscle groups on the screen there. So compared to our glutes, our quads, calves are a much smaller muscle, but they have to do so much more work. So I guess that leads to what happens when our calves aren't strong enough. Well, they get tight. Usually I say tight muscles are overworked or weak muscles, usually both. So if you think of muscles sort of like the scaffolding to our structures, which is our joints, our bones, our ligaments, all the other structures. So if our calves aren't working as well as we want them to, something else will have to take the load. So excess load in a certain area is going to lead to injury. And usually the knee likes to cop it. And second thing, it just decreases your running speed because we know that calves have a huge role in propelling ourselves forward. If we're not strong enough through the calves, we're losing that power. And you actually see that with a lot of masters athletes because as we get older, our tendons get a bit stiffer, especially the Achilles. And you'll see that they've got less bounce. They'll shuffle a little bit more. And yes, the aging process does do that to you, but you can slow down or even reverse the effects with just a bit of calf strengthening. So now we're going to go through how to do a calf raise because I see hundreds of calf raises a week and a lot of them aren't done very well. And I guess how you do them is actually extremely important to what you're trying to achieve. Great thing about a calf raise, you can just do it at home. So at the most basic level, find a wall. I always like to advocate for single leg just because running is a single leg activity. But if you're terrible and you can't keep form, maybe you have to start off at double leg. So at a basic level, you're on your tippy toes, even weight between big toe and little toe, and as high as you can, nice and slow. Common mistakes I often see is you're not distributing weight evenly between your big toe and little toe. And what that does is you're biasing one side of the calf. We want to train both sides evenly. So therefore, even weight between big toe and little toe is super important. What I like to do with a lot of my athletes is I draw a dotted line through the second toe all the way up. And your goal is when you're doing a calf raise is to keep that nice and straight. So you don't want that line to veer out. Second big mistake I always see, people don't go high enough. They're not working their calf through full range so that they're strong through a certain portion of it, but then at end ranges, they're not very good. And as you get to higher speeds and you change your gradients when you're running, you're actually using different ranges of your calf. And another mistake I see, in order to get more height, because people aren't strong enough in the calves, they try and compensate through other methods. So common ones I see is they bend their knee, they try and push through their knee, and that way they don't have to use their ankle. Another thing I see is people hitch their hips. And this is a big one, and it's one of my pet hates because when we run, we want our hips to be as level as possible. And I guess having our hips hitched isn't very functional. We don't run down the street with one hip higher than the other hip. Well, you shouldn't anyway. Now let's talk about benchmarks. I'm emphasizing on running in this video just because In cycling, we actually don't use our calves that much. It's more so running. Usually if I say you can't do 30 good quality calf raises, and good quality is the key word there, this is an absolute no-brainer to work on it to decrease the injury risk and increase the performance. And how I like to test is usually a metronome, 60 seconds per minute. And you want to do 1 second up, 1 second down. And as soon as you lose height, that's when you stop. So give that a try at home and tell me how many reps can you do? So how can we make our calves stronger at home? Well, you don't actually need much equipment, which is fantastic, which means as long as you incorporate it throughout your week, it's bound to improve you. So my tip would be aim for 2 calf strengthening sessions a week. I'll probably say try not to fatigue yourself before a really important running session. If anything, do it afterwards. And how I would start would just be body weight. So 3 sets to fatigue, whether that's 10 reps, whether that's 12 reps, whether that's 15 reps. Good quality as well, super important. And once we've mastered body weight, we need to make it a little bit harder. So I guess we don't want to be doing 30, 40, 50 reps because it's a lot harder to get to fatigue and really challenge yourself. And it's a lot more taxing on the body if we're doing 40, 50 reps. So things you can do is add in a weight. It can literally be anything. I usually go same arm, same leg. That way you can keep that line, that foot nice and straight, even weight between big toe and little toe. Another thing you can do is increase the depth. So, find a step, find a book, something that you can increase the range of motion of. And then you can combine those two as well. So you can go weight as well as step. And I would say once you have mastered the basics, try and increase the weight quite a bit. So higher weight and lower reps. That way we're really getting the calf nice and strong. Variations I like to do is a bent knee calf raise. So this one's actually quite hard to do right without moving your knee. So make sure your knee stays static, you're moving from your ankle. But the goal of this is to work the soleus, which is the inner calf muscle. And that's actually the biggest calf muscle, and that's the one that's most responsible for propulsion when you're running, and bending the knee just isolates that a little bit more. Once we've mastered the strength, we can work on a little bit on power, which is getting a little bit of speed into the movement. I definitely wouldn't jump into this because this is a higher risk of injury, especially Achilles and tendinopathies. But once you're strong enough, you can do things like pulses, which is just fast bounds, working on that stretch component of that calf, and also things like bounding, skipping, hopping, that sort of thing. All right, I think we'll leave this video here. Let me know if you have any questions down in the comments below about calves or strengthening in general. I hope this video has brought awareness of how important calf strengthening is to get on top of your injury niggles and become a faster runner. And yeah, there's so much more we can delve into, but that will come in a later video. Thanks, guys.